Before we look at the text example, remember for the vocabulary the phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are a verb with an adverb or a preposition, such as get up, wake up, or break down, get around. So it's a composition of two words. This may come really useful in the answer where they ask you to insert two words, because you may remember that maybe a phrasal verb is something that you need to add. How do you know all the phrasal verbs? You can memorize them, but a very useful way, more practical way to know them as many as possible is to read a lot. By reading, you will discover new ones, and you will see how a verb changes completely the meaning depending on the adverb that it is with, or the preposition that you put before or after the verb. Let's look now at some examples. The first one is matching information. So you can see section 1, question 1 to 8, the first 8 questions. Let's read first very carefully what we're asked to do. Look at the 5 advertisements A to E. Which advertisement mentions the following? Write the correct letter A to E in boxes 1 to 8 on your answer sheet. You may use any letter more than once. So we know we can use any letter more than once. We know we have to write letters from A to E in the boxes 1 to 8. So even before reading any text, we are going to look at the 1 to 8 question. So, up-to-date teaching system, that the institution has been established for a significant time, examination classes, that arrangement can be made for activities outside class, the availability of courses for school students, language teaching for special purposes, a wide variety of language choices, even in classes. So as you can see, we have different questions, and what we are going to do is we are going to look at the paragraphs, at the first sentence and the last sentence of each paragraph, so we will know where to find the information to answer these questions. Let's look at the second test. Question 1 to 5. So here it asks us to choose the correct heading for section A to D and F from the list of headings below. Write the correct number in boxes on your answer sheet. Remember, write directly on your answer sheet, because you will not have time to report the question at the end of the 1-hour test. So what you're going to do is to read the list of headings and then match it for each section. Again, remember that when you go back to the paragraph, if you look at the first sentence and the last sentence, you get an overview of what is said in that specific paragraph. Another test example can be the one of a diagram. Diagram may seem at first a bit unclear, with a lot of drawings or a lot of data, but all the answers are in the text. We just need to use the right techniques to find these answers. So here it asks us label the tunnels on the diagram below using words from the box. So as you can see, there are the question 6, 7 and 8, and what we need to do is to look for these words in the text. A technique that can be very useful for the reading part of the IELTS is to remember how you were creating mind maps for your studies. So when you would read a test, you would create this mind map where you connect all the various topics. In this way, you're using the same skill that you have developed at high school of understanding what are the keywords that you need to answer the question. Let's look at another text example. So here they ask us to choose no more than 2 words and or a number from the passage for each answer. Write your answer in boxes 7 to 13 on your answer sheet. The school system in Finland. So as you can see here, they are giving us a limit, so no more than 2 words or 1 number. So for example, let's look at the first at the question number 7. In the most recent year test, Finland's top subject was great. So we already know that we're talking about a subject. We know usually what are the subjects that we study at school, and we are going to look at the keyword subject, for example, in the text. Then let's go on with the question number 8. A new school system was needed to improve Finland's. So something has been improved. So we can see that it's a positive word. Something has been improved. Something has gone from not very good to much better. And what is it? Let's look back at the test and see what it could be. Schools followed blank that were created partly by teachers. So again, we can look at teachers as keyword. Young pupils had to study an additional. Here we can already kind of deduct that it can be an additional subject, for example. But we're going to look at the text to find the right answer. All teachers were given the same space to use. So it could be the same template, the same time, the same paper, the same rules. Teacher had to get a space, but they did not have to pay for this. So as you can see here, it's a singular name. So it can be a computer, for example, or an iPad, or something that is just one. It's a singular. Applicants were attracted to the space that teaching received. Again, here we have some keywords that we can look at in the text. Another type of test that you can find is the summary. The summary is a brief summary of the text that you have read, where you need to insert the right words. So for example, we can read here: the transport revolution, modern cargo handling methods have had a significant effect on, and we need to choose the right word. As the business of moving freight around the world becomes increasingly streamlined, manufacturers of computers, for instance, are able to import, and then a word, from overseas, rather than having to rely on a local supplier. The introduction of space has meant that bulk cargo can be safely and efficiently moved over long distances. While international shipping is now efficient, there is still a need for governments to reduce space in order to free up the domestic cargo sectors. So as you can see here, we get a context by reading through the text. It's very important, even before reading the text, also to read at the various possible words like tariff, output, trade, software, components, employees, freight, international standard, container ships, insurance cost, and fares. For example, there is still a need for government to reduce potentially insurance costs in order to free up the domestic cargo, or we can look at different words that we could insert in this one, and by inserting them and reading again the text, you can get an idea of what are the correct answers. Of course, then refer to the text that this question are linked to. Another test example is related to the true, false, and not given. First of all, we need to understand what does it mean true, false, and not given. So true if the information is the same as in the text. So if it says in the answer, in the question, is the sky blue, and the text says the sky is blue, then this information is true. False, it means that it's the opposite. So let's say always with the sky example, on the answer it says the sky is green and the text says the sky is blue. In this case it's false, because it's not, it's the opposite color, it's a different color. Whereas not given, if in the text they talk about the sky but they do not provide information about the color, in that case you would put not given. And the same is with yes, no, and not given. So remember to read first the question if they ask you to write true, false, or not given, or yes, no, or not given. So as you can see also from the image, if the statement agrees with the claims of the writer, state yes. If the statement contradicts the claim of the writer, state no. If it is impossible to say what the writer thinks about this, say not given. Usually yes, no, and not given refers to more subjective topics or like opinions, statements, whereas true, false, and not given are more focused on facts and data. As you can see, each part is going to test your skills. These skills are transferable, so you will be able to use them also during your university career and in general also in the world of work. So you will see that everything that you're going to study and to practice for the IELTS academic will come very useful future in life.